Corey, thanks for coming on. We're talking today about the 4-day work week, which, yeah, some days sounds pretty appealing, especially after last week when we got a 4-day work week and you really see how it went. You guys just did a survey on a number of employees and managers in the Boston area specifically. But before we get there, I know that there's been a study ongoing in Britain. I saw reporting on this back in the fall of last year. I think some 73 odd companies were testing this out, and the early results that I saw there were, no real loss of productivity across the board there, and seemed to have been quite popular.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense too. I think when you ask and kind of figure out what employees want more now than ever, it's flexibility, and we've talked about that a number of times over the past year or two, and that's flexibility is king for all employees moving forward. It's the way the workforce is going to be.
So, talk to us a little bit about the survey that you did. Who'd you speak to, and what type of questions did you ask when it came to the 4-day work week?
Yep. So we asked about 2,500 workers and 2,300 senior managers, and in our survey we found a few things. First, 82% of Boston managers support a 4-day work week for their team. Amongst that group, 50% actually anticipate that their company will transition to one within the next 5 years.
Wow.
Additionally, 81% of workers said that they'd be willing to put in 4 10-hour workdays in exchange for an additional day off each week. And it's also important to note, within that group, those most interested were Gen X. Next was workers who've been at the company for 5 to 9 years, and the last two groups were HR professionals and then administrative professionals.
So those numbers are pretty high, and I wouldn't have been surprised necessarily by the lower level worker themselves, but the fact that 82% of Boston managers are supportive of it, and then half of them actually anticipate that it's going to happen, seems pretty surprising. I don't know if you found it surprising, but you go on to say that, look, when you actually dive in further, some 94% of workers are supportive of more flexible schedules, at least. I know that that's different from a 4-day work week, but what exactly did you ask there, and what did you find when it came to just more flexible schedules and what that might mean?
Sure. Well, it's 93% nationwide, but then when you pull
Okay.
it back a little bit, within Boston, it was 82%.
Okay.
And I think the thing to consider is, when you think about a 4-day work week, like, what are the benefits? There's pros and cons, right? And so the pros, it's going to allow employees to build a schedule that works both for them and their family. That, in turn, will build trust within the employees, which then goes and increases employee engagement and productivity, which should improve retention. And by the way, it's probably going to help attract some really top talent. The downside to all of this is it's going to steepen the learning curve for both managers and employees. You also need to remember that people may then have to put in longer hours, especially those working from home. And then finally, there's probably going to be some added pressure to be available 24/7, especially for employees with different schedules.
Corey, practically speaking here, in terms of where you could see this fitting, I mean, I don't anticipate the McDonald's is just going to say, hey, we're going to a 4-day work week and we're closing on the weekends. Likewise, if you work in retail or manufacturing, it comes down to, maximizing, if you're in a manufacturing facility, right? How many hours can you keep the lights on and, continue productivity in a place like that. I would think that the most practical places might be, tech jobs, marketing, those types of roles. I guess my question would be, in the context of where we're starting to see layoffs and weakness in the labor market right now, are we going to see this push over the next couple of years, or is it going to be pushed to the wayside as everyone focuses on, hey, how do I best retain my job over the next few years?
Sure. It's a good question and well said, and I would say a few things. So our research shows that the managers most likely to offer a flexible work schedule like this is in the mid-sized company with 1,000 or more employees. You said it, tech as well as finance and accounting departments, and then you're also going to see within remote teams and hybrid teams where obviously people have the choice to work from home or in the office.
Yep.
Now, we did this survey at the end of last year. Your point is an important one. If we did it again, what would we come back with then? So the market's shifting. To your point, there's layoffs happening. So people may have different feelings at this point, but at the end of last year, this is the overall tenor that we're feeling from the people who filled out our survey.
Yeah, it's it's not entirely shocking when you look at the questions, but the one that really sticks with me is just the percentage of companies anticipating that they will in fact transition to this model at some point in the future is pretty shocking and would be a significant change from where we are today. Corey Adams from the firm Robert Half talking to us about their study on the 4-day work week and workplace flexibility. Corey, thanks so much for joining us as always.